Welcome to A Recipe Reborn, featuring your favorite foods from Final Fantasy XIV. Hello, my name is Lemon Drop, and I recreate dishes by combining real-life culinary inspiration with the in-game recipe, description, and thumbnail. If you're into 14 and food, please subscribe and click the bell for a new episode every Tuesday. Today I am making Crème Brûlée, which in English means burnt cream. This dessert is really good for dinner guests since you can make it a day ahead, and it's also very simple to make as long as you have the right equipment. But even if you don't have a torch, you can still get that glassy layer of caramel at home. The in-game recipe calls for vanilla beans, eggs, milk, and birch syrup, which I have never tasted before, so that will be a first for me. I also have something to confess. I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm making half this recipe with cream and half with coconut milk. I'm cutting the vanilla bean in half so I can put half in each batch. Next, I'm splitting the bean down the middle and scraping out the seeds. If you don't want to splurge on vanilla beans, this recipe will totally work with vanilla extract. In my opinion, the birch syrup overpowers the vanilla, so it's not really worth using it. The cream goes in a small pot to bring to a simmer with the vanilla bean pods and seeds. The purpose of this step is to infuse the cream with the vanilla beans so you can skip it if you're using vanilla extract. Set it aside to cool, and then I'm doing the exact same thing with the coconut milk. I'm doing 2 yolks per 1 cup of liquid, which is more yolk than you typically need, but I'm using birch syrup in place of regular sugar, so there's more liquid to set compared to a typical crème brûlée recipe. The flavor is similar to molasses mixed with a little balsamic vinegar, which you could definitely use as a substitute to get similar flavor. It's time to make custard, so half goes in my cream mixture and half goes in the coconut mixture. These should be cool enough by now that you could combine them without worrying that the eggs will curdle. While I'm pouring the custard into my ramekins, my oven is preheating and I've got a pot of water boiling on the stove. As usual, times, temperatures, and measurements are in the description below. I put my ramekins in my shallow baking dish, and underneath is a rimmed baking sheet for extra stability. The water bath is to regulate the temperature immediately surrounding the ramekins. After they're done baking, I'm letting them cool on a rack until they get a bit closer to room temperature. Then they go in the fridge covered to set for at least 2 hours or overnight. Now that I'm ready to serve, I'm pouring over a little sugar to coat the entire surface of each custard. Then it's time to bust out the torch. This is really fun and really speaks to the black mage in me, but if you don't want to do this, you can always make a simple caramel in a small pot with a bit of sugar, water, and honey, and then pour it over the top of each custard. So how does it taste? Like I mentioned earlier, the birch syrup largely overpowers the vanilla, so that's kind of a bummer, but I actually like it. It's not too sweet, has a really smooth, satisfying texture, and balances really well with the crunchy, sweet caramel topping. It almost has a slightly bitter coffee-like flavor, which I'm really into. For the full recipe and instructions, please check out the link to my website in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for another recipe and another episode.